Hi everyone, good morning. I'm doing my John Maxwell and I'm on to the next chapter. I finished the last one, which was on the law of buy-in, and this week is week 15, so we're looking at the law of victory. Leaders find a way for the team to win. And I've already done my prayer to Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament, as I always do. Yesterday I watched a documentary, I guess you could call it, on Our Lady of Knock, and it was really good about how she appeared in Ireland, and it was at a time when the government of the day were importing the food while people in the country were starving, and they were losing, especially children. Children were dying because they couldn't get the food they needed, they couldn't get the medicines, and meanwhile, all the other countries were benefiting from Ireland, and the potato crops that year were bad. So sometimes that happens in our lives. We plant good seeds, but the crops that are yielded are bad, and other countries are benefiting from what we do, from our knowledge, from our skills, our talents, and meanwhile our lives are continuing to deteriorate at home. So what is the solution? The solution is for us to do what the Irish did, to leave these countries and to go to other places where we can use our skills, our talents. Many of the Irish went to America. People came here to Canada. But for me, that's how I feel. If after 20 years, I'm being treated like I'm a married woman instead of a single woman, I'm being forced to stay at home, I'm not being given the good paid jobs, I'm not being given the jobs that are going to help me to travel, to excel, to oversee things. I do all the work, but I get paid peanuts for what I do. Then there's no point in me staying here. And also when Our Lady appeared in that apparition, it was the only apparition that I know of where she didn't speak. All the other apparitions, she spoke, she gave a message of repentance, a message of hope, a message to the people for them to follow. But I like that apparition. When I heard of Knock Shrine, it was when COVID hit, and I was still working at Teleperformance in the call center. And I was very depressed because I was like, this doesn't even feel like Christmas. Because normally I used to go to St. Basil's. We had a priest there that used to organize lovely Christmas carols. So I used to go there and then I used to join in. And this year I was like, it doesn't even feel like Christmas. Like they're burying people, they're basically putting bodies into trenches in New York and they're just throwing the bodies. It was like something out of a movie. And people couldn't even visit their loved ones in hospital. I was like, this is really, I never imagined I would live through something like this in this modern day and age. But they had the carols from Knock Shrine, and I found it on YouTube. I was just browsing, so that's how I started following Knock Shrine. I used to follow them before, occasionally, but that really changed my spirit because they did such beautiful Christmas carols, and they did all the traditional carols that I grew up with in Zimbabwe. So I liked it, and then I bought some things because I was working. I could afford to buy some things. I normally get my blessed candles from St. Joseph's Oratory, and I get my incense and things from there that I use at home. And I bought some things from Knock Shrine just to support them, because the church also needs our support. You don't necessarily, if I can't give it the offering, I buy things from the church, and then that also helps them. So that's how I supported them. I got the statue of Our Lady of Knock, because for me, for the priests say that they see that when she has her hands like this as a gesture of prayer. For me, when I looked at that, I saw it as Our Lady saying to me, protect your heart, because there's always going to be people who ridicule you, who bring you down, who want to teach you a lesson, who want to humiliate you, who will make a laughing stock of your life, but you have to protect your heart. And like me, there's that passage in the Bible where it says Mary treasured these things and she kept them in her heart. And that's what I felt. I felt that it was a message for me to treasure things and to keep them in my heart. So I really like the documentary. It's on YouTube if you want to see it, a message of hope. And if we don't hold on to that hope, what are our lives worth? Because if everybody's working against me, the only thing I can do is to hold on to my hope and to hold on for those breakthroughs, which will come. And I know they will come because I've had those breakthroughs in the past, but it just seems to be going on and on and on and on. And I'm not getting to where I want to be in life. And it's very discouraging. It's very disheartening when even when my nieces were sick, I would have loved to have gone and been with my brother and sister-in-law in England. But I didn't have the money to go, so I had to stay here and just keep in touch with them over the phone. So I can't do the things that I want to do for myself and my family because other people are looking out for themselves and their families and they're not interested in helping me. If I talk to them, they'll tell me, oh, I've got my daughter, I've got my niece, and they go and they talk to the church and they get the support from the church. And I don't get as much support as I would like. So all I can do is to put my trust in God and to keep doing the right things, because I do a lot of things in the church. I'm an EWTN media missionary. So they post not only on Facebook, they post on LinkedIn as well. And we had our meeting just this past week. We had our online meeting where they sent us the newsletter. So I normally just read it and I keep it for myself. But they've given us actions that they want us to take. So I'm taking those actions. I'm reposting their messages on LinkedIn. I'm copying and pasting the bullet points with the messages on Twitter, on social media. I do whatever they are asking me to do. So I do that. Then with the Marians are in America. So they are the only organization that has, they have the women under St. Faustina as their partners. So we are Marian helpers with them. So I help them as well. When I do my enrollments, I used to do it with them because I started following them first. And Knox Shrine I help as well now. I help at Blessed Sacrament in the parish. I used to help at the Newman Center with doing the readings and the Eucharist during the week when Father Peter Taroni was there. I helped at St. Basil's doing the readings downtown in Toronto. So whenever I'm not working, I try to do things that are for the church or do things that are going to help people, because it's a waste of my life sitting at home like this. I'm not a married woman. I don't have kids to take care of. I don't have elderly parents who are frail and invalid that I need to stay at home. So it's really a waste of my life to be sitting at home like this. But I'm hoping and praying that I get that breakthrough and that I get a good paid job, because it is very heartbreaking for myself, for my family, for my brother. My brother also helped me with my education. When I went to study in South Africa, I contributed, I worked and studied, but he also helped me because I needed money to pay for the fees. So you want that point to come where you are not dependent on other people, where you are now the one helping other people. But instead, because of the relationships that people have in the families, in the church, in the banks, my life is not going anywhere. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse every year. I take comfort in the fact that I'm not the first one to go through it, and I won't be the last one. And I help others to come up, because I know that God has His own plan for our lives. And it is discouraging. It is very discouraging and it's very depressing. But that's how it goes in life sometimes. So today I'm focusing on this law of victory, and I did do the Bible readings. It's from 2 Chronicles 34:1 to 35:27. So how does somebody become a Michael Jordan, a Winston Churchill, a Wynton Marsalis, or a Mother Teresa? How do you become so good that you refuse to do anything but succeed, no matter what circumstances you face? And he says the answer is you have to have a breakthrough. So the example that John Maxwell gives is looking at how Josiah obeyed God. Even till his death, he obeyed God, and he got the victory for his people ultimately. And because the idea with the Jews at that time was that they were turning away from their true faith and they were worshiping other gods, and they had to come back to God and come back to worshiping God. For Ireland at that time, I don't know. I mean, I only watched that documentary. I know only what I read on the internet or what I see happening. But I know our church has gone through a lot of periods where, not in Ireland maybe, but I know in our church, like they were selling things, like selling the prayers, selling the mass, selling the, when you say sorry to God, and all of that were things that shouldn't have happened. Donations are different. If you want to give a donation and you can, that's good. But we don't sell things. So we've gone through different things in our church as well that have wounded it. And he just goes through this saying that if we persevere and we do what's right, the right result will come. Now, whether that result will come for me tomorrow and I get a call saying, yes, there's a good paying job for you in Singapore or in Hong Kong or in America, I don't know. But I know that it's not fair to me and it's not fair to my family to keep me unemployed, to keep me out of work, to keep me sitting at home and not to be able to work and to contribute to a country where I chose to come and I live here, and just sit at home and do nothing. Not be able to pay taxes, not be able to travel, not be able to do the things that benefit society and also benefit me. It's very unfair when you have all the skills. And even when I had that final meeting, I told the HR people, they said, oh, your scores were not that good. I said, yes, they were. I said, which supervisors did you talk to? Did you ask them where some of my scores were not good? Why? Because my calls were longer, because people kept me on the phone because they like to talk to me. And she's like, no. I said, yes, I have won Employee of the Month many, many times. And if you don't believe me, go and talk to my supervisors. They'll tell you how good I am and how good my scores are. HR just makes decisions without even consulting the business, without even talking to the supervisors to find out who the best people are. And then people who come in after me, they get the good paying jobs. So I told him, this time I had enough. I was like, this is not right, what you're doing. It's not fair to me. And then they said, okay, well, there's this campaign, but it's overnight. I said, no, I already told you. I've got health problems. I can't work overnight. I already did it once. And they're like, well, that's all we have. I said, well, then you call me when you have something suitable for me, because you have to also start treating me right. And if you don't value me, talk to your partners. You have a lot of partners. Talk to them and tell them that, hey, we've got this person. She's sitting at home and we can't find something for her. So can you please take her? Instead of letting me waste my life, because it's not fair to me. If I do good and if I help people and I benefit the customers and I benefit the business and people like my work, it's not fair to me to have me just sit at home and do nothing. So those are the principles you can take into your own business and you can apply them. We also have to put God first in our lives, in our prayers. I don't say that I go to church every week when I'm sick. I'm not a hypocrite. I don't go to the church and say, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm sick, I can give my germs to everybody. Oh, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm going to church and I'm getting the Eucharist, that's the most important thing. That's not the way the Catholic Church works. And if people think that that's the way it works, they're wrong. They tell you, if you are very sick and if you are going to put other people at risk, don't come. If you have work obligations and you can't work, then go to Mass when you can. Now we even have the Mass online. So they don't expect us to destroy our lives because, oh, there's Mass on Sunday and so you're breaking one of the 10 commandments, so God is going to punish you. That's not how it works. And that's not how God works. You just have to open the scriptures and read them. And as for breakthroughs, I do get those breakthroughs. In every contract I've held, I've done well. In every position I've held, I've done well. And that's why it kills me. Because every time I get to the end of it, there's nothing else for me. And then I'm the one left scrounging for work, for food. I'm the one going into minimum wage. I did very, very well in all those project roles that I had. So it destroys your soul when you're going through that. But I just put my faith in God and I carry on. Even all those people looting in the streets. It's like India. If you go to India, you go to now, it's happening in New York, in San Francisco. In the name of what? In the name of being liberal? It's the stupidity of what they're allowing them to do. So what, we must walk in the street and see people shitting all over the street if they want, walking naked, having sex in the streets. That's what liberalism is about now. Having little carts where you can go and buy drugs. And what about the children? And what about what it's doing to us psychologically? It's the stupidity of what they are allowing. I stay away. And even that is in the Bible. It says stay away. Just stay away. If that's what they're promoting, just stay away. Sometimes you can't avoid it because if you have to take the subway or you have to go somewhere and somebody decides to do that, and then in the name of being liberal, that's what's allowed. To me, it's disgusting. That's why I never wanted to stay in India. I hated the filth. Now you walk in Toronto, the air smells like that. It stinks with the garbage. It's becoming the same all over. So, I know people criticize me. That's perfectly fine. Say I'm better than others. That's perfectly fine. At least I know what my standards are and I know what I value. Because I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't tell other people what to do. I don't go around telling them that, oh, this is being set up to support my son and my daughter or my niece and my nephew. Nobody gives a shit, really. Sorry to be so crude about it, but no one cares. If you want to get support for your son and your daughter, leave me out of it and leave my family out of it and go and get that support on the strength of your own name and your own family, because I put in the work here in Toronto for me and my family. I put in the work in South Africa. I put in the work in Zimbabwe. And my friends know it. And it's killing them to see what people are doing to me and allowing people to do to me. Because when I do it, I help others. I don't organize things, invite people to events and then say, oh, you can go home with my friend now. If I organize things, I make sure if I'm with family, I go home with family. But that's exactly what happens to me in Canada. I get treated like I'm an outsider. So I'm not willing to accept that. That is not how. I am a daughter of the Fernandez family. And if people can't be bothered to treat me like a member of the family, I'm not also bothered. Because my dad did a lot for people before he passed away. And I know which people will be there for me and I know which ones won't. Going home with strangers. Oh, they are our friends. So what if they're your friends? They're not my friends. They're not my friends. I don't know them. That's why I stay close to the people who are close to my family. I stay close to the family friends that we had from Zimbabwe. I stay close to my brother-in-law's friends because they also will make sure that they look after me. I don't just go with strangers that I've never met before. There's only one time, one or twice I've done it, and that was when I went to liberal events because Marco Mendocino knows me, and he told the priest at the church, I like her. So I did a lot for them. I did a lot when I volunteered with them, but what's happening to this country now, I can't support it. And I told Marco directly, even when they had that thing where they wanted to transfer that killer, I told him directly, this is not on. I call the office and I leave messages because that's what a responsible citizen of this country should be doing. If I see a theft, I report it. If my mother tells me I was working at Salvation Army and somebody was stealing, I tell people. I don't just say, oh, well, what must we do? It's got nothing to do with us. So that's what we have to do, and the breakthrough will come. But along the way, it's very frustrating. And just like in the wars they fought, there's a lot of damage that gets done along the way. Because we are fighting spiritual battles. We are fighting for the values we believe in. So we have to make choices. And the question for today is, have you experienced a breakthrough that leads to victory? And I have, including in the contact center. I obeyed when I was told what to do, how to change my voice, how to change things, how to get the best scores. I got my breakthroughs because I was obedient. And I'm a handmaid of the Lord. If I didn't want, I could just say, whatever, how can you tell me like that? That's what some people do. But I'm a handmaid of the Lord. And I do it unto God's glory. And if people don't like it, that's also fine with me. It's fine.